Welcome into another edition of Chalk Talk. Nick Camino, Ben Axelrod coming to you via Zoom this week, as we've done a couple different times. We were back in studio last week, and hopefully we'll be back there again. But schedules and things like that, keeping things a little crazy here. But hey, if we learned one thing during the pandemic, Ben, it was that Zoom has become a very useful tool, right?
Right. Yeah. If we didn't learn anything from the pandemic, then we failed. So
that's right.
Yeah, I enjoy our Zoom sessions.
I do too. All right. So we look at football through the lens that is sports betting, all of it for us for entertainment purposes only. We pick 3 games every week. It can be a side or a total, whether it's college or NFL. Ben came up with this idea when the season got started, and I got to tell you, it's worked out very well for Ben. Ben comes in this week at 14-10 on the season. I'm unfortunately bringing us closer to the mean. I got to really get things going here. I've struggled. I think back-to-back weeks of 1-2, and it's just difficult. That's the difference between 2-1 and 1-2. Last week 0-3. That doesn't help. So I'm 9-15 on the season. Ben is 14-10. I know he's loving that, and I gotta get things into gear here. The goal is to beat each other and get up above 52.4% for both of us. Ben is doing that. I am not. So, Ben, I don't know what your trick is, Ben, but I know it's been staying away from college football. That might help.
Yeah, I've got a nice little 1 week cushion here, and the company line this season has been, it's a long season. Don't overreact. But I got to tell you, Nick, we're at the halfway point here. We're at the halfway point of the NFL season. We've got to get you in gear here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I didn't even think about that. That's right. We're halfway through. All right. Well, I'm going to go with one college game. I've lessened my college games. I feel like when we started this, I was like 3 college games. Then I went to 2. Now I'm going to go down to 1, and then I'll go into the NFL to try and work some of Ben's magic, because he's been fantastic. First game of the week for me, and this is interesting because I'm going to bring this up off the heels of the college football playoff getting announced, the first one. I'm going to take Wake Forest -2.5. They're on the road at North Carolina. I just think they're a better team. I think North Carolina has the better quarterback in Sam Howell, but they come into this game only at 4-4. Just got beat up on the road at Notre Dame, a physical game in prime time. Wake Forest is coming off an easy victory over Duke, and I think Wake's the better team. It's why they're favored on the road, but I think they're going to win by more than a field goal. And again, this could look like a trap spot, because one team is 8-0 and ranked 10th in the country, and the other team is 500, and you know, Mac Brown is probably always solid for a good win. But I think this is where Wake Forest has to show, hey, not a lot of people have talked about us for the college football playoff, but we're from the ACC. It's a Power 5 conference. If we run the table and we win our conference championship, probably going to be really hard to keep them out of the playoff. As weird as it sounds, you got Wake Forest, a school from Winston-Salem, which is like the size of John Carroll. It's pretty crazy what they've been doing. Quarterback's really good. Dave Clawson, former Bowling Green coach, has done a nice job there. Just trying not to overthink this one. I know the old book might say kind of a trap game, a letdown, whatever. Just, you know, but I just feel like Wake Forest gets it done here on the road. I think all they got to do is win by a field goal. They're given 2.5. So I'll take the Demon Deacons here.
Yeah, I'm curious to pick your brain about this. You're definitely more of the college football expert than I am at this point. Do you think Wake is, you said they're the better team. Do you think they're the more talented team, or do you think they're just playing better coach? Like, because on paper, it seems like North Carolina should definitely be the better team. At least that was the case entering the season.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously you have the better quarterback in Howell. They probably have more NFL-ready guys. I don't think you're going to see a ton of NFL, but I think the better college football team, I think you kind of get what I'm saying there, Ben. I mean, a lot of times, heck, there's been, well, I can't say that over the recent years. I was going to say some Ohio State, but there's been some Ohio State quarterbacks that, you know, haven't been NFL, and they've done very well. So I just feel like this is a really good college team. No, they're not on par with Ohio State, Bama, things like that. Probably don't have as much quote unquote talent as North Carolina. I just think they're the better college team, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And do you, I mean, with a team like this, because I know you haven't been picking college games, but I love picking your brain on college football too. If you have Ben, I know it's Wake Forest, we'll roll our eyes, but if they're in the ACC, Power 5, run the table, win the conference championship game, can you possibly keep them out of the college football playoff?
You know, I think it comes down to, what does the rest of the college football landscape look like? And I think the thing that's interesting now is, we know Alabama already has a loss. We know in the Big Ten. I mean, there's a pretty good chance Ohio State is the team coming out of the Big Ten. I know Michigan State's in the driver's seat, but Ohio State has been playing pretty good football, and obviously controls its own destiny facing Michigan State later in the season. But Ohio State obviously has a loss. Oregon in the Pac-12 already has a loss. I look, if you were comparing a bunch of undefeated teams, I think that Wake is going to be the odd man looking out. But the reality is we have a bunch of Power 5 conferences already where we know the champion is going to have at least one loss. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a Power 5 undefeated champion and you're the only one or one of two, yeah, I don't know how you get left out. This is what the playoff was designed to do, was to protect teams like Wake Forest who might have gotten left out because of a computer error in the BCS system.
Yeah. Where there's two schools that can really throw a wrench into all this. Feels like Wake Forest and Cincinnati. So we'll see. I know there's a lot of people out there that want them to lose. So we'll see. All right. So that's my first pick. Ben, your first pick of the week.
Yeah, and I've got to say, going back just to hit on college real quick, man, was that Michigan State-Michigan game not the game of the year? That was an incredible game.
I mean, Michigan up 30-16, Ben, in the second half. This might sound weird to some people. I think they were the better team. Like they appeared to be but I mean, all of a sudden you reel off 2 runs from what could be a Heisman candidate. I mean, they're and credit to Mel Tucker. What a job he's done there. Not enough people talk about it. Michigan State was kind of like in shambles when he got there. They had a lot of bad things going on there that people don't seem to talk about, or they've quickly forgotten about. They had their own set of issues. He didn't take over a great program. And he's kind of brought them back to when they were during their glory days where they were going to the college football playoff and stuff. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Big Ten East, you have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I mean, those are 3 teams that at the very least have already built up their recruiting base, established head coaches and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, for Michigan State to be in the driver's seat of the Big Ten at this point, it's nothing short of remarkable on Tucker's end. But
pretty great. Meanwhile,
yeah.
I feel like me, you, and 10 other guys could figure out a team to win the Big Ten West division. I mean, what a joke. Yeah. It sounds like Minnesota really controls their own destiny. PJ Fleck may work his way into the Big Ten title game, which is crazy.
Yeah, he'll be rowing that boat out of Indianapolis pretty quickly if that's the case. But without further ado, we'll get to my first pick here. We're going to stick with the NFL because it's been so good to me these last 3 weeks, going 2-1 in those 3 weeks. I'm going to go back to the well here. One of my favorite picks last week was the New England Patriots on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers. They were a 5-point underdog. They end up winning the game outright. I'm going to take the Patriots as a road favorite now at the Carolina Panthers. The Patriots are a 4-point favorite in this game. I think what the Patriots have been doing here, I know they got off to a little bit of a sluggish start. I think it's kind of flown under the radar. You have so many big storylines in the AFC. And I think one of the storylines that's not getting talked about enough is that Bill Belichick has kind of gotten back on track here with Mac Jones, who's putting up a very impressive rookie season. The Panthers, meanwhile, I know they beat the Falcons last week, but man, I think this Panthers team, they're not something's not right with them. It's Sam Darnold had a concussion last week. If he's not able to play, then you're going to have PJ Walker, a former XFL player, albeit a very good XFL player, an XFL player nonetheless. I just think, if that's the case, whether it's Sam Darnold, who obviously Bill Belichick has plenty of experience going up against, or PJ Walker, who, would be on the lower end of starting quarterbacks. I just think that Bill Belichick has this defense firing on all cylinders. And I think this is another spot here for the Patriots to walk away with an outright road win. They have to cover by 4. I'd rather get this line down to 3.5, but I'll take it. I think the Patriots win this one by a touchdown.
I was surprised by this spread. Who am I? You have a winning record. I do not. So I at this point really seems kind of hollow. I don't have much water here to hold. Home team getting 4 against a 500 team. I was impressed with the Patriots though, going into SoFi and beating the Chargers. We saw that Chargers team. They beat the Browns. I mean, I don't know how good the Browns are anymore, but at the same time, that was an impressive win. And you're right, Ben, in that this may be, because he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, this might be one of the better coaching jobs Bill Belichick has done. When you look at, they've had a lot of injuries and they don't have a ton of talent. I mean, they've got some guys. Their defense is nice, but The Browns are going to have a tough game coming up when they have to go to Foxborough in a few weeks. That team is better than people think. I think they win the game, but I'll disagree with you. I'll say that they got to win by a field goal, and the home team's getting four. But again, me disagreeing with you is real silly at this point until I start going 3-0. But I understand the logic there. All right, second pick for me. I'm going to go against the hometown Cleveland Browns. I'm going to go with the Bengals. This opened up at 2.5, but we'll say Bengals -3. That's what it seems like the consensus sportsbook line is right now across the board. So we'll go Bengals -3. I'm getting the home team here. Vegas probably looks at this as an even game because the Bengals are only -3 at home. But I think that the Bengals, that spot last week against the Jets was such a trap spot for them. I think they're more like the team, believe it or not, that beat the Ravens and not the team that lost to the Jets. Because think about the Jets, that game, even though they were an 11-point favorite, that Jets game was sandwiched right in between Baltimore and Cleveland. That is like been old school definition of a trap right there. I mean, it's just, you're overlooking that team. You're going on the road, 1 o'clock game. You don't have much to get up for. Boom, all of a sudden you get hit in the mouth and you're like, we're in a football game here. So that can totally happen. I am not going to overreact to that. The Bengals are way better than I thought, probably better than you even thought, Ben. I mean, I think this is a really good team. And I think the Browns have a lot of problems going on right now. Some that I don't even know if we're seeing on the football field on Sundays. So I'm going to go with the Bengals at home. I think they could beat the Browns by a touchdown or more.
Yeah, this is a game that really is going to, I think, dictate the rest of the Brown season and where it goes from here. If they win this game, they're going to be fighting for their playoff life the rest of the way. And if they lose this game, you certainly could see some ways that this season could kind of come off the rails for the Browns. I'm a little conflicted here because I can't disagree with the pick. Look, I think there's a lot to pick apart about the Browns team. I think Baker Mayfield is not at full strength, and he's probably a little more injured than he's letting on. I think the Odell Beckham Jr. stuff is pretty messy at this point and kind of is what it is from a production standpoint. I think the injuries the Browns are dealing with are real. But when I thought about this line and just trying to look ahead, because I typically look at these lines a week in advance. I, for whatever reason, had not been keeping an eye on this. So after the Browns lost to Pittsburgh, after the Bengals lost to the Jets this week, I was kind of thinking about this line, and my first thought was pick 'em, just a pick 'em. Who wins this game, and it moves forward in the AFC North. So from that standpoint, I should like the Browns because I'm getting 3 points in a game that I think is a pick 'em. But I can't fault you here. I think there's the Bengals. You talked about them being a lot better than anybody anticipated. And I think when you say that, you think about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who might already be the best wide receiver in the NFL. He'd probably get my vote. T. Higgins, I think, is a really under wide receiver as well. This Bengals defense is really, really good. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson coming off the edges. I just think this is a Bengals defense that is really, really good. And I think they could give a banged up Browns offense some problems. So I can't fault you for the pick. I'm staying away because, like I said, my first thought was this line's a little heavy in the Bengals' favor. But this is definitely, just from a neutral standpoint, one of the games I'm most interested in seeing how it plays out this Sunday.
With the way you've been going, the fact that you're saying it, you won't fault me for the pick, the fact that you're not disagreeing, I feel okay about it. I really do. All right, your second pick of the weekend.
All right, this is where I'm going to get a little bit cocky here. I'm going to get a little bit cute. I am going to take the Houston Texans +6.5 at the Miami Dolphins. I've said it before. One of my picks last week, actually, that wound up covering was I had the Rams -14.5 over the Texans on the road. They wound up actually only winning by 16 points. In some places, that was a big backdoor cover for the Texans. Luckily, I locked my pick in early. But look, this Texans team is really bad. I think they're an expansion level team. But this Dolphins team might be the most disappointing team in the NFL. This is a Dolphins team who was right there with the Browns in terms of teams expected to take a leap forward this season. We obviously haven't seen that. For this Dolphins team to be getting 6.5 or to be laying 6.5 points, that's just too many. There's no scenario where this Dolphins team should be laying, almost a touchdown. So I'm going to take the Texans. I think maybe you get a good Davis Mills performance. He's been playing a little better at quarterback. Brandon Cooks at least is a threat offensively. And at the end of the day, I just think 6.5 points is way too many against the bad Dolphins.
This game is like the prison game. This is the game that they put on at jail on Sunday for inmates to watch football, because these two teams are so bad. There used to be a running joke that in jail they would put the worst game of the week on for the inmates to watch. I mean, this is holy smokes. You'd have to pay me to watch this game, I think, Ben. I can't fault you for anything. I have been a little bit disappointed. I thought Flores was doing a nice job last year with the Dolphins, and then all of a sudden, they lose a close game, that first game of the week to the Patriots, right? And then
I mean, he was he was probably the runner-up for Coach of the Year behind Stefanski last year, and now he's on the hot seat, I think.
I know. I don't know what's happened there. So, anytime you got to take the Texans, they're just so gosh darn bad. Total stay away from me. But as you said, maybe you're getting cocky. Maybe you find some value. Again, 14-10, you can do what you want to do right now. All right, my final pick of the weekend. I think I'll get full disagreement from you on this one. I'm going to take the Chiefs -1 at home against the Green Bay Packers. To me, it's almost like too obvious to take Green Bay here, because they've been so impressive to go on the road last Thursday and to beat the Arizona Cardinals, handing them their first loss, Aaron Rodgers. But you and I have talked about it, and I know they are one of the most least profitable teams. I think they said 5-15 against the number of their last 20 games. I mean, the Chiefs have been so overvalued. We saw it on Monday night. There's no way they should be giving 10 points even against the Giants. They just shouldn't. But here, I think we're seeing a market correction. I think we're seeing, okay, wait, we can't keep making the Chiefs 3 and 4.5 point favorites, especially against the Packers. And I think by kickoff, this might be a pick 'em. But
I'll tell you what. Last week we did some haggling, I think, over the Falcons-Panthers line over like a half point, and it wound up not even mattering. I'm going to do you a favor here, because I looked at this line after you did, and it's actually Chiefs +1 right now.
What?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the Chiefs +1.
Oh boy! All right,
if you want it.
I'll take anything you'll give me. All right, so we'll get the Chiefs +1. So look at that, though. In the time I looked at the line, it is moved like 2 points. I mean, if you think about it, it's going 2 points. It's gone through the 0, and the Chiefs are +1. But yeah, to me, it's a market correction. I don't think they're this great team. I know they've got some problems going on, but at the same time, home team. Maybe it's a spot where Green Bay, I remember watching them last year going on the road against Tampa Bay, and they were like +2 or they were -2, and Brady and the Buccaneers beat them up really good. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here +1, just trying to believe in this team, even though they've really been almost hard to watch. And Ben, I think about remember when the Browns played them, everyone was like, oh man, the Browns played the Chiefs so tough. Well, maybe we're seeing the Chiefs aren't that good. Maybe this is why the Browns have some issues going on.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you're getting Patrick Mahomes at home as an underdog. Like, say less. Like that's all you need to do to talk me into this. My concern would be there is something wrong with this Chiefs team. And I think what's wrong, I think Patrick Mahomes might be hurt. I think you go back to the Super Bowl last year, he was dealing with a turf toe type of injury. I don't know if that ever got corrected or if he re-aggravated or something, but talk about regressing to the mean with his interceptions. It's been crazy to see the way he's been turning the ball over. So look, I think there's valid concern about this Chiefs team. I'm not surprised this line is where it is, but I think you're on to something where this could just be a massive overcorrection in favor of the Chiefs here. I think this is probably going to land somewhere at a pick 'em, so you're getting a point. Definitely, worried about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and I wonder if it's baked into this line that the Packers are coming off a long week after Thursday night. I think that stuff kind of gets overrated a little bit. All these teams deal with different sort of schedule quirks, so I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, I like the logic here, but be pretty scared to be back in the Chiefs right now as well.
Ben gives me an early holiday gift with the +1. So if the Chiefs end up losing 31-30, I'll push. I'll take the push at this point. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what do you got? Third and final pick of the weekend.
Yeah, my last pick here, I am going with the Baltimore Ravens -5.5 versus the Vikings. The Ravens coming off a bye week, probably a much-needed bye week with the injuries they've been dealing with. We'll see if they can get their running back situation on track here. But you started to see before the bye week, they started to get their first-round pick, Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver out of Minnesota, started getting him more involved. And then this Vikings team, look, I just think the season's kind of come off the rails for them. We saw them lose one of your picks last week, not to rub it in, lose to the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football to Cooper Rush. I just think, look, you're losing to Cooper Rush. Now you're facing Lamar Jackson. I think this is a spot, for Lamar to kind of go crazy. And he's had some games here where the numbers have been underwhelming, but he's just been like a touchdown here or two away from putting up some big numbers. I think this could be a big game for Lamar Jackson. 5.5 points, kind of a big line here, but I think this could be a game where the Ravens just pull out. I think they are definitively the better team.
I think the Vikings are one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL. Ben, they've got talent on both sides of the roster. They've got the head coach, and that might be why he's shown the door eventually. But they just something is not right there because they do it. They appear to have talent. I mean, played the Browns tough. They've done some other things where they've played well. I feel like they're better than their record. They've showed it. I mean, they played the Browns tough. They played the Cardinals tough, but for some reason, they just can't seem to get the job done. They've needed overtime in some games. They've had to win very ugly. As you mentioned, they lose to the Cowboys. So I'm pretty much done with the Vikings this year. And you'll have full agreement with me taking the Ravens in a home game here. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it, right? That's going to do it. We've got picks. Continue to ride Ben. Continue to fade me. And you'll be doing very well at this point. Ben goes into this weekend 14-10. I am 9-15. Really got to get it going here. We appreciate you watching us. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football, and good luck.